player targets. Okay, so this is the first thing that they dropped. A busy week ahead. Players are challenged to improve their performance or situation at the club with player targets. New player targets, more logical responses, fine-tuned staff meetings. Oh, goody! Staff meetings! Yes, dude. Oh, I'm so excited. I don't know if this is going to be that transcendent. Like, this is not something that you have to interact with over the course of the game. It's something you can interact with if you want. I'm assuming... I don't think agents will love these, though. Whether it's your team scoring for the 10th game in a row, your robust defense keeping another clean sheet, or your top prospect realizing their potential, there's nothing more satisfying than watching a plan come together in Football Manager. There can sometimes be bumps on the path to glory, slumps in form, standards dropping in training, and player unhappiness can derail your plans and force a rethink. So in FM24, you can now inspire your players by setting targets to elevate their performance levels. Alongside this, we've also made changes to the way you interact with your players and staff to ensure your conversations are realistic. Okay. So, the areas that can be focused on are training improvements. Wow! I'm super excited about targets now. Wait, hold up. So you can actually challenge them to, like, learn a new position. That's what I'm getting here. This is so awesome. That is cool. Prove their suitability for role, clean sheets, match performance. You can set reserve team match performance goals. The opportunity to set a target will be available when you praise or criticize a player for their recent performances. So this is not just contract-based. This is interaction-based. When you make a comment to a player leaving on loan in contract negotiations for new signings and player renewals, or as a way of resolving a player's unhappiness. Ooh, that's going to be potentially broken. You can fix players' unhappiness by making them a promise. Player interactions are a blanket solution to illogical interactions with players. That's what I'm getting. Bear in mind, both the player and their agent may want to negotiate it. Awesome. When setting a target, the player's personality, the relationship with you, yeah, all that stuff's going to matter. For example, the all-important contract discussions offering a playing time pathway can significantly boost a player's interest, but it can be difficult to justify whether your potential signing should be promised a regular spot in a few years. So in FM24, linking closely to a playing time pathway promise, you'll be able to offer a target. Yeah, that's what we saw earlier. So this is what it looks like. You'll tie in a target, like, oh, if this guy scores 20 goals for me, then he's going to be an important player. But you shouldn't sign this guy because he hates big matches, right over here. So don't sign this guy particularly. Yeah, but there's probably I wouldn't call it patching. I don't think they're like patching stuff out. I think they're just trying to smooth out player interactions. I mean, everything's going to be overhauled next year, so FM25 is going to be the full overhaul. They're probably trying to make Football Manager 24 just very logical, very smooth, so that it is an homage to the old way Football Manager has done things. For instance, promising strikers has to be a regular starter as part of their playing time. You can respond with a target. Goals in league matches, and so on. When targets have been set, you can track how players are progressing using the new Targets tab on the home screen. Sweet. For loan players, this I'm curious about. Promises that have to do with loan players. Any playing time plans or targets will be highlighted in purple to make it clear that those only relate to their loan move. Okay. I would love if you're loaning out a player to be like, hey man, I would love if you would actually be interested in a loan. And if you accomplish this average rating on the loan, you can come back and be a squad player. On the flip side, if a player fails to hit their target, you'll be notified by your player liaison officer, who will explain their reaction to the target failure and who they think is to blame. Oh, well, that's okay. This is just going to lead to more frustration, though. You're just going to end up getting more mad, right? Because they're going to be like, well, I don't know. I think I should have succeeded. Right. If multiple players fail, you'll be given the option to discuss any outstanding contentious issues directly with the players. It's going to rise because of any issues the player has with you, which can include game time or any problems a loanee has with their manager. In fail scenarios, a player can respond in different ways. Okay, if they came close to completing their target, the player might come back to you and back themselves. The player can also reference other metrics that highlight positive performance levels. So this is far from straightforward. For example, they might not have met the goal scoring target. They may have recorded several assists. Well, that's a simple, nice example. If an injury causes failure to reach the target, the player will accept the target couldn't be met. So if you feel your star striker needs a bit of motivation in front of goal and you want to see your youth prospect make big strides on loan, targets. Better conversations with interaction logic changes. This is probably going to be a part of the blog, but may just be the most important. We'll see. I mean, we'll see. They could totally write this entire thing without actually telling us anything about how this works. Basically, this whole paragraph is, we read the memes about players being mad when you compliment them for their international performance, so we've taken that out of the game. Positive, neutral, and negative reactions of differing levels more accurately reflect their opinion. So they've added, like, lukewarm reactions. Issues have also been resolved to address instances of unrealistic player unhappiness and providing clearer reasoning behind their concerns. Here we go. So, if a player is considering exploring options at the end of their contract, their desires should be made more obvious, be it the lure of continental football or waiting for the club to be promoted. Thank you. That's a good example. So you get context when you're getting screwed over. Elsewhere, requirements for promises are clearer, making it easier to see how your players feel about current progress, such as the promise to strengthen your defense, for example. I've specifically complained about those sorts of promises, like strengthen your midfield or whatever, because you have no idea what's going to qualify as succeeding in that. The player will become satisfied, rather than having to wait until the end of the promise date for their happiness to change. It's like getting grades throughout a semester, or instead of taking a pass-fail class where you just get the grade at the end. Get the key information you need in staff meetings. You can just skip stuff. I see the option. You just skip for this meeting. It's by my, yeah. In your meetings, when suggested hires for your backroom staff appear, their club rating and rating have been removed to show more relevant information. Now you'll see their key attributes for the suggested role, along with some context as to why they've been recommended for the job. That is interesting because I have always skipped staff recommendations, but now at least they're trying. That was the one I would have expected the most. Based on my understanding, FM25, right, Unity, they're going to redo the UI, they're going to redo the graphics engine. Like, it's just going to feel like a completely new game. I mean, it's still going to be Football Manager, but it's going to feel completely new. Whereas FM24 is this kind of polished, final Football Manager on the original Football Manager engine sort of thing. So cleaning this sort of stuff up was a must.